This is Business Decoded podcast with Ronnie Spellman. An informal chats with top business moguls as they share their stories of failure and success in a fun and relaxed way. Get entertained, educated, and unlock the secrets to success.
Welcome to Business Decoded with Ronnie Spellman. I have back once again for the third show, John Coletta. John is the founding chef and partner at Cortina restaurant. John, welcome back again.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me back. This is awesome.
I keep learning more and more, and I promise you I won't keep bringing you back again, but your insight on cooking, and I love to eat, like so many other people. So I've learned so much just from our conversation. The last show, we discussed the idea of having the chicken cooked in
a pumpkin.
And then a pumpkin. Absolutely amazing.
Love it.
That's just a brilliant idea. It's probably almost like an oven within an oven, if you will.
Absolutely.
The way that it works.
And just think of the transfer of flavors back and forth.
Yeah.
And you get to scoop the pumpkin, and then once
I love it.
You can blend this together with the chicken. So don't forget the seeds that are inside that pumpkin. You toast them. Awesome.
Oh, I absolutely love it. One of the items we discussed, though, in the prior two segments was the idea of obesity and nutrition and nutritional value. And what I was astounded by is your philosophy on using quality ingredients and how that helps. So eating is good, right? We all need to eat.
Sure.
Eating quality food that is just from nature. One of the things that I've mentioned a few times, we've gotten onto the concept of organic, which just means it's grown on a farm without a lot of extra items added.
Pesticides, right.
And I find that amazing because when I was little, I used to play in a farm. And the food that was grown there was just grown there. We didn't have all of these extra items on it. So organic is just a return to what it used to be. Right?
A return to natural foods.
Right, and growing. And so, but I'm amazed by that. I'd love to spend this segment speaking a lot about the nutritional piece and just your ideas on what nutrition looks like in quality eating. I think when we were off air, you were discussing at how you prepare food and preparing good food and eating, you end up potentially losing weight because you're eating such a high quality. And then our producer discussed the idea of eating as a family. So you're eating, you're enjoying the conversation. You're not just eating to get as much food in you as you can. It's about that experience with quality food, right?
Absolutely. And when you think about fundamental ingredients, we think about grains, we think about wheat, we think about rice. Those are fundamentals, right? And how those ingredients are harvested, how they're cultivated, how they're irrigated, right? Where they're irrigated play an important role, right? What a cow is fed determines the milk, obviously the level of cheese that's produced from that milk.
And that seems such like a common sense approach, but you're absolutely right. And I think you mentioned this as well. I heard this growing up, that you are what you eat. It's the same with our products that we eat.
Surely.
They are what they consume, whether it's rice and growing a product or the material that an animal eats.
Absolutely. And, at the end of the day, it needs to be we all need to earn a living. It needs to be profitable, right? But it's kind of putting the cart before the horse, right? And we say we're going to be profitable first, and then we're going to provide a product, right? The product should come first in an environment of integrity. The product comes first, then comes the profitability. That will follow, right? And it's the same holds true for Cortina, right? We provide a superior product, and then profit will follow. If we do everything right, profit will follow. It's inevitable, right? We're a for-profit business, realizing we've got to do many, many things before we can arrive there, right?
And I want to get back to that in a second about the business side and the people and the marketing. But on the obesity side, during COVID, I found myself starting to gain a little more weight. And what I came to the realization for me personally is that I was eating at times just to eat.
Surely.
And versus eating just wanting to consume a good food. And then I think I was eating a little too much when I was sitting down. And I know that people have legitimate health issues that might lead to obesity. But again, back to that nutrition, having a good quality meal, not overdoing it and the volume, right? Just enjoying that experience.
Portion sizes are important, But if we eat food that is grown and produced with integrity,
Right.
wanting to consume large portions will go away,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But we can't think of trying to buy 5 pounds of rice
Right.
for $5 and think
Right.
that that's a value
Right.
because we've got this volume. Rather buy rice that costs more, that's grown properly. It's going to bring more meaning and substance to my life.
Right.
Right?
And you mentioned this previously. The phrase that you used was buy up for nutritional value.
Absolutely.
And you're right. So you're buying a higher quality product, a little bit more nutritious for you.
Think of the simple things. Think of salt. Right? The quality of sea salt is an integral part. We need salt
We do.
for our bodies, right?
Right.
We also need olive oil,
Right.
right? We don't need vegetable oil, which is corn,
Right. Right. Right.
right? You don't need it. Why would you do that? We all know that consuming high quality olive oil, of course, Italy takes the forefront in this, right? And to use olive oils from other countries, that doesn't make them inferior, nor should we look through those lenses, okay? There is a deep, deep, deep culture for Italian olive oil making. Italy is a country of 650 different species of olives.
It's amazing.
Right? And they don't blend them. They don't blend the species. Now, with the oils that are blended are meant for export. They're not meant to be consumed inside of Italy, right? Why? Because the government strictly believes, it's a social government, strictly believes that it's on the side of its people. Whether they are or not, it's another subject.
Right.
But the big piece is when it comes to nutrition, on top of it, the people force that.
Right.
Right? Someone who lives in Calabria and someone who lives in Torino are going to have completely different kitchens, but the fundamentals remain the same. They're going to consume the products that are grown in those regions.
Right. You know, I don't discuss it a lot in detail, but my youngest daughter had a lot of food allergies. So over 50 items, she was allergic to rice and corn and gluten. And so you mentioned a vegetable oil with corn in it. We couldn't have it. And a lot of people ask, Ronnie, that must have been difficult. And when I look back on it now, what it forced us as a family to do was to really understand the food, where it's made, how it's processed, what other contaminants might be in that market. But it brought us to olive oil, which we use a lot in our cooking. And we take a grass-fed beef and we cook it in olive oil. But we learned so much about food. You know, this is something that you would learn given your profession, but for us, it was a transition. But we learned so much.
If you think about, I've seen articles written about taking a tablespoon of olive oil before you go to bed.
Right.
No one ever says it has to be an estate-grown olive. Now, that's upping your game, and we should be using those lenses in order to get there, right?
Right.
If you take olive oil and it's ordinary, it isn't produced with integrity, I think that's also a problem.
Right. Right. And then we did the same, like you mentioned, the sea salt or kosher salt. We could have that. We couldn't even have a lot of the juices because they're made with corn syrup.
No doubt.
And so it was complicated to make sure that we were doing as best as we could.
Surely.
But in the end, it was just trying to get basic, natural, next level food, as you mentioned, you know, buying up, but the quality and the nutritional value improved with it. And so I've retained that as an adult now from my daughter's experience.
The issue of purchasing foods that are naturally grown has become almost a luxury.
Right, right.
Right?
True.
And if you think about it, good food should be for everyone.
Right.
Right? To my way of thinking, we are all entitled to great ingredients.
Right, right. Yeah, so tell me, and you mentioned this as well, you are what you eat. I want to definitely leave people that are trying to understand nutrition that you are what you eat. But if you had a family just looking, how do we change our lifestyle to become more nutritionally conscious? What would you tell them? How would you help them make that transition?
I think the transition begins with cooking foods that have meaning both culturally, religiously, and are significant, right? When we have a barbecue, we buy hot dogs, we buy bratwurst. But what about if we bought them from a producer of integrity? When you go to Germany and you have a Frankfurter, it's spectacular, right? When you get a bratwurst or a bockwurst in Germany, sensational, right? The same for sausage making in France and in Italy and in Belgium. Wonderful. The same holds true in Southeast Asia. Wonderful things, okay? Going back to those fundamentals, going back to the roots of good cooking is essential.
It is.
Right?
Now, there have been a lot of services, delivery services that have come up. I think HelloFresh is one of the brands, and they seem to kind of address that need. So it sounds like people want it, and these programs come with all the ingredients sent, and then you cook it at home versus buying a frozen meal. Right?
If you think about it, the scale that is needed is enormous, and people, people are driven by how do I get a deal?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And the deal there shouldn't be a compromise in what you consume.
Right.
Right. It should be priced fairly, and it should be priced with the product in the forefront.
Right.
If you think about very simply today in Italy, a liter of extra virgin olive oil is 12 to 15 euros or dollars per liter. If you're able to buy olive oil here for $5, probably not a good idea.
Right.
Right? I mean, there's a reason for it. There's a reason for everything. So what does that really mean? That means becoming more aware of those ingredients, the ingredients that we use continuously. Look at things like milk, look at things like rice and wheat. Knowing its origin holds an important role in health.
Right. Now, I think you've written a lot about rice. You've mentioned that a lot on the program.
Sure.
I think most people see, and the only decision they have is maybe between white rice and brown rice.
No doubt.
But there's more complexity to rice, and some kind of question nutritional value as well. But tell me, you have a whole paradigm around rice.
Absolutely. Well, I wrote a book about risotto and Italian rice making in 2018, and the essence is it's a fundamental. Right? It's a grain that we don't consume much of.
Okay.
I don't want to speak ill about many rice producers, but I want to say the awareness should be in selecting rice that is grown with integrity. We have wonderful wild rice here, right?
Okay.
It grows in the upper Midwest. Utilizing that and integrating wild rice into our diets is an important perspective. Does that have anything to do with Italian cooking? Of course not. At Cortina, we use this very specific rice. It's called acquarello. It's aged for a year. The idea of aging rice stems from the Chinese. It's not an Italian invention. But the rice is grown naturally. The way rice typically grows, there's a spring underneath, a water spring that rises naturally and reduces naturally. And from that, they've produced this canderoli species of rice, whereby mechanically the germ, which contains the nutritional value of the rice, is removed, polished, reinserted, in order for each grain to be identical. The grains of rice that are broken, which will affect the results of the cooking, are then turned into compost, right? And utilized. So when we think about, that's just a simple ingredient. Does it come at a price? Yes. Is it affordable to everyone? Absolutely.
Okay.
But realize if we search out products like that, we will become healthier. We're going to be more... You're going to live a fuller life. And of course, the concept of being able to enjoy great food with great family and friends and colleagues together is sensational.
Right.
And there's no other place to do it that I can think of other than Cortino.
Now, you sold me on the $35
Yes.
as an average, right? Because that is just incredible. I went to a restaurant a few weeks ago with some friends, and I think just for the protein, it was $50, $60.
Yeah, surely.
It didn't come with any sauce or anything. It didn't even come with a drink, right? And drinks now are $3.99, like in a restaurant. So the idea that you can have a quality meal in Cortina's is just amazing.
We've gone out of our way. We've done a lot of research, development, studying, and it's taken us a number of years. Cortino in Chicago opened in December of 2005. Here at Grandscape, we opened in June of 23. So we're about a year and a half open here in North Texas, in North Dallas, I should say. The realization that we've taken the same attributes, the same concept of producing superior food that people understand, recognize, are familiar, the preparations that everyone has grown to love about Italian cooking, but utilizing superior ingredients.
Right.
That's the entire secret.
So, question for you. I know you have a background, Italian background, but why did you choose that? You've had such an amazing experience around the world, different culinary types, different regions of the world. Why did you land on Italian as your business focus?
Podcasts are so popular, even monkeys are doing it.
75% of Americans listen to podcasts monthly. That's 210 million people in the United States alone. And yes, podcasts are profitable. Joe Rogan is making $30 million per year. Your content, your knowledge is worth sharing. Don't just dream it, do it. Visit andycostafilms.com/podcast and turn your content into leads.
Italian food, by and large, is well received, whether it's in South America, whether it's in Western or Eastern Europe. No matter where you go, Italian food, the Italian culture, Italian fashion, Italian consumer products are placed in a spectrum of want.
Nice.
Right? People want to have Italian clothing, right? You buy a suit, it's made in Italy. Now, there's a fabric produced in Italy? Of course not. They don't have the scale. But there's the know-how, there's the ingenuity. Think about coffee making and so on, right? All of that said, Italian food is popular. The Italian culture is popular. It's had the opportunity to stand the test of time. And more importantly, it's approachable and it's accessible. And we've adopted those cultural beliefs and transformed it into where it's for everyone, right? It's like when you go to the beach, right? Every beach has sand and everyone can go. And we want every social and economic level to visit Cortino and embrace it.
That is amazing. Do you have, so your book is it only focused on rice, or how broad is it?
It's Italian rice and utilizing it in every segment of the meal, from an antipasti to a dessert. And it's called Risotto and Beyond. It was produced by Rizzoli. It's available on Amazon. And certainly we do have it available at Cortino here in Grandscape and also in Chicago at 626 North State Street.
So what were some of the ideas in using it as an antipasta?
Oh, God, you can do incredible things. Make arancini. There is an infinite number of preparations that rice can be utilized in. Making a soup, utilizing it in the summertime, having a variety of roasted vegetables, and you have boiled Italian rice, and you're making a rice salad, right? And putting as much or as little of the vegetables that you want into it. Making a risotto pudding for dessert. You know, when we think of Italian rice, we look at it through the lenses of it's only risotto or it's only, to have a rice soup would be spectacular.
Yeah, I love rice soup.
Right?
And so, from a dessert perspective, we're speaking about some of the other parts now. Do you have a favorite dessert?
Actually, my favorite desserts are the ones that are prepared with such simplicity. To have Italian's donuts known as zeppole, or to have a tiramisu, which, when you think about tiramisu,
yes.
it was created in a restaurant in Treviso, Italy called La Beccaria in the mid-'60s. The creator of that recipe passed away in the last 2 years. I was fortunate enough, a very dear friend has a cookware shop close by, and I was able to get the original recipe. So we were able to modify the recipe in order to fit into expectations and the palate of the consumer.
Okay, I love tiramisu.
Oh, yeah. It's gone around the world. When you think of all the preparations, so to go back to what you had said, why Italian cooking? Because it's so approachable and accessible, right?
Right.
And there's no hidden parts. Yes, there are integral parts. If you're going to make a bollito misto, if you're going to make something that's relatively complicated, there must be significant understanding, like all great cooking. But it's approachable. The people are approachable. There's the perception that it's for everyone, right?
Yeah.
And it's not for people of means. Yes, if you can make this as elaborate or as simple as you prefer.
Right. It's funny, you spoke about the different brands from Italy, and I was just thinking I had to double check the location in Italy where Ferrari was.
In Modena,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
And just think about balsamic.
Right.
In fact, the balsamic vinegar that we place on our tables is produced by the oldest remaining balsamic producer in Modena called Giuseppe Giusti, and that is from 1650. So just think, many of them have closed. Others have opened, wanting to follow in the footsteps of that tradition. But balsamic vinegar has gone around the world, right? Why? Because it's approachable.
Right.
There's nothing for... Now, you can have balsamic vinegar that is for 250 ml is $1,000. You can find that if you're in search of that. That's been aged for 50 years or 100 years. It's certainly out there, okay?
Oh, gosh.
But to find something that is aged for 7 or 8 years that's completely approachable, it gives all of us a chance to experience the efforts of artisan producers.
Right. Now, we spoke briefly about Fan Juan, I think, in one of our other episodes, and we discussed the $2 chuck.
$2 chuck, better known as $3 chuck now.
They've had a price increase there. But for those with, you mentioned the Prosecco, but for those with discerning Fan Juan taste, do you have any favorites that are out there in the store, in your restaurant or marketplace?
Absolutely. We've got a significant selection of wines that we have imported directly.
You do? Wow.
And that are approachable in pricing. Italy has, once again, an elaborate number of wine species that are grown indigenously. The famous ones for export are clearly Prosecco, Pinot Grigio, Pinot Nero, and this continues to proliferate and grow. But realizing this, you want wines that are very drinkable, and most Italian wines are incredibly drinkable, right? Yeah. Look at the level of rosés that come from Calabria. The wines of Basilicata, the wines of Puglia, of Lazio, and so on. Every region has these incredible wines that are first intended to go with food. They complement the food rather than wines that you can drink when you're reading a book.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So it's viewed through the lenses of it's a food, it's a liquid, it's produced from a grape, so it must be food, right? That's the only lens the Italians have, right? Knowing that we're able to do that, not to mention, the infamous Negroni cocktail and a list of other cocktails that continue to grow because of approachability.
Right. Now, I heard that you travel with a lot of your spices. When you travel around the world, is it in like a suitcase just made for spices? How does that work for you?
Well, you're not far off. There is an insulated bag that I put everything in so that when it goes through customs, they can remove the bag if they find it.
Okay.
And chances are that it's not found.
Now, what I found fascinating, though, in that story is that one, you said you love to cook, which is amazing. There's some people that when they leave being a chef, executive chef, they go home, they don't want to cook. But you love it partly because of what we've been discussing, the nutritional value. So you carry that with you around the world. You go and buy local produce and other items.
Surely.
But then you carry those basic elements that you need with you to maintain that quality, right?
Salt is super important. Pepper, super important.
Right.
Olive oil goes without saying, right? And those are essential to our lives and to our health.
Yes.
To utilize vegetable oil, it's not that I judge it, I just don't want to use it. Right? It's not, if you feel like using vegetable oil, be my guest. Yeah. It's your life. It should be your concern. Yeah. I prefer to use olive oil. To the extent, my mother just celebrated her 100th birthday.
Oh, wow.
And just think this thing through. She lived through the toughest times in Italy, and she's able to continue her life for eating in a particular way, right? And that's all based on the basis of salt, olive oil. Clearly, water plays an important role.
So, real quick, if you don't mind, that makes it sound like she arrived right around the Great Depression.
She arrived here. I was born in 57. She arrived in 56.
Okay. But from a birth perspective, she was born abroad.
1924.
Okay. That is amazing.
And think about this, 1924 inside of Italy with all the rhetoric that was going on back then.
Wow.
Right? Fascism and so on.
Right.
And to be able to live through all of that is an important perspective.
She's 100.
100, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
That is amazing.
Well, actually, to her, right?
Yeah. But so you travel with your food. The reason I thought of that as well is because with our family allergies, we did the same thing.
Sure.
I travel with at least the main staples, which I'm sure a lot of families with allergies kind of experience the same. So it's an important part. I know we're at the end of our third show now, but we discussed briefly as well about your people. You probably have had opportunities to become one of the most notable, well-known chefs, executive chefs, entrepreneurs in the world. But we discussed why your path has been a little different. You prefer to focus on the customer experience and the experience of your team that helped to build your organization, right? And so I'd love for you to tell us more about what that looks like. And on our prior shows, you mentioned when people come in to eat, you want to make sure they have a delightful experience. You will customize the meals for them, but you want them to leave happy and having had a good experience in your place, which also lends to you having good staff.
Absolutely. When we think about staff and we think about our customers, they're equally as important. Obviously, on the scale, one is 1A and one is 1B. I can't tell you which one it is, but it clearly plays an integral part. The customer is our lifeblood. Everyone says that, but do they really mean that?
Right.
And to walk that talk is crucial. Many times the customer is abused, and we can cite, right?
Sure.
We can cite many, many, many instances. When you call any of our utility companies, when you go get a driver's license, right? I mean, last time I checked, you pay them, okay?
Yes.
I have to remind them that I'm their customer, right?
Yeah.
And that, for me, those negative experiences it was embedded in me to make someone feel at home. I can't begin to write down how I do it, right? How I meet someone, how I encounter with them. You got to live in the moment. And that is an integral part of success. It's almost a sixth sense to be able to meet a husband, wife, and 2 children. They probably are having a great day or could possibly be having a bad day. And to be able to read that and to then impart a positive experience, that can only transcend into them leaving as our advocate, right? And we've succeeded. Making money will follow, right? It all comes in the end, right? And if we take care of our staff and we treat them with care and respect and dignity, chances are it'll work out also.
So I helped a friend of mine buy a car recently. You mentioned the DMV and some of the experiences in other establishments. We went and visited several dealerships. And the one that she chose to buy the car, that level of quality experience is exactly what you mentioned. She paid a little more for the vehicle because the way they treated her was great. They didn't have her sit in an office for hours going back and forth trying to haggle. And so she went with this place. But the experience there was absolutely incredible. A lot of it she sent in advance, her information. She has a high credit score, so none of that was an issue. She had great financing. But they treated her so well. One of the dealerships that I have to tell you, John, this is great. Went to the dealership. She decided that she wanted to still look before making a decision. She liked the car. And they drove us to where the car was. Well, after we finished looking at the vehicle, they left us in that area where they had driven us to. And we asked, how do we get back? They said, you can walk down. Walk. I was amazed at the level of experience that was received. So you're right. Having that good customer experience, people will come back again and again and again.
Treat someone how you want to be treated. We all know that. But do we do that? Right.
Sounds like you try, though, at Cortina. Right?
Well, here at Cortina, here in Grandscape, we go out of our way. It's the only way. Right. Is to embrace the customer. People will come in, they're having a bad day. Life treats you the way it treats you. And it's our duty to put a smile on their face.
Right. I love it. So, John, as we wrap up this one, if you had to leave, we've been together for a lot. I think people have received a lot of great content from you, from your early days at Waldorf Astoria at 14 to your travel around the world, to how you treat people, how you market the business. But if there are any few business decoded tips you would leave with them, what would you tell not just the restaurant person, entrepreneur, but just anyone looking to build success and value in their own personal life? What would you tell those people that they're looking for meaning, they're looking for a sense of achievement? What would you say to them?
There's a few things you want to do. The first thing is you want to hire people that are better and different than you. You want to hire A players. Then you want to do the one thing that actually moves the needle. Learn from them. Different minds, different angles, diverse team challenges assumptions and spots the things you missed. It's about building a team that can run without you. The goal of every leader, make yourself replaceable.
Right.
When you empower great people, they just don't get the job done. They build a culture of loyalty and trust that feeds back into the business. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. In the final analysis, leadership isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the most strategic, hire better, learn faster, and get out of your own way.
Right. Now, those are great feedback, insight for leaders. And the one thing that I've heard you say consistently as we've spoken over several programs is empowering your people. You've said that so much that I actually believe you.
Well,
and I do.
And we walk it.
And I say that because so many people don't give their leaders within the organization the ability to make critical decisions. And I appreciate that. You keep saying it, and I'm amazed that you've made that a center point of how you run your operation.
If you ensure the success of the staff, they will ensure your success.
Yes.
It's that simple. I know it sounds, very far-fetched, but it's a reality. Everyone says these things, but do they?
Right.
Everyone says the customer is the most important thing.
Right.
Are they?
Right.
Walk in to get your license renewed. Last time I checked, I'm paying.
Right. Right.
And then they turn you into what, right?
Right.
Turn you into a crazy person, right? But there's no need for that.
Yeah.
So the secret is to have that customer wanting this experience that they literally do not find anywhere else.
Right. John, you've been quite a pleasure to have on the program. I feel like we had a fireplace going right next to it, and we were having dinner at your restaurant. Like this has been quite a wonderful experience. So, John, thank you for coming again on Business Decoded.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yep. Thank you for joining us on Business Decoded with Ronnie Spellman.
Thank you for listening to Business Decoded podcast with Ronnie Spellman. Please be sure to subscribe and share, and stay tuned for more incredible Business Decoded episodes.